Hello, my dear ones. Again, always a pleasure to come and talk with you and share goodies, because this is all fun stuff. You know, it feels good to feel good. Feels good to be happier, you know. What a stress, though, just to be here, isn't it? Just to be on this rock. Today, you see the two forces adamantly at each other, the positive and negative forces. But know that what you see here is actually first played out in the mental worlds, and in the emotional worlds, and then here. So it's a composite of all three layers. If there's actually a couple more, but still layers, and it's all working as one. So it's definitely interesting experience creation. I want to continue to read your questions and comments. Really appreciate that. I want to keep going down, see if I can. Catching up will never happen that I see, but let's go on down the road here a little bit. Dr. Morse, thank you very much for everything you do for us. You're welcome. You're really welcome. My name is Katya. You've answered a few of my questions before. I am a 30-year-old female, 5'3". I think we probably didn't discuss the possibility of a pituitary there. During teenage years, had some doctors called ministrokes, TIAs. My head would hurt like hell for a few days. Oh, man. You know, that's why the beauty of herbs. We can do so much neat stuff, non-toxic, neat stuff with herbs. What would you do if you had a daughter or son when they were young and they were having these little TIAs? Hopefully not, but possible little TIAs, mini strokes. Would you, if you knew the herbal lore, you would grab upper circulation, you would grab brain and nerve. And then with the knowledge that you have, you know that to see these sort of symptoms, there has to be acidosis present. There has to be agglomeration, there has to be a cationic environment, there have to be an environment of obstruction, of dehydration, to actually cause a vascular or a swelling of the lymph system, of course, then including a vascular flow. And so, yeah. But with the herbs, oh my God, we can have so much fun. And early on, you can start working on your children when you see a problem. You know, whoa, I've got plenty of herbs that can handle this sort of thing. One side of my body would go numb. Oh, God. Can't speak coherently. Felt disoriented. Yeah, that sounds like little TIAs, don't it? And this is when you were a teenager? That's scary as hell. Now, what other thing might you think about? All right, let's think about occlusions and stuff like that. We generally think of blockages. Well, mucus, edema, all these things can swell, block. Of course, cholesterol, lipid blocking, calcifications. So what would you think? You might have some vascular spasms or collapses. So you might want to take a look at 5'3". Where might else we want to take a look at, guys? Parathyroid gland, absolutely. Because you know the pituitary, as a rule, when it's down, and when you're 5'3", you kind of know that probably was a little instigator. Now, if that's true, you would definitely want to take a look at your parathyroid gland and make sure you're utilizing calcium. Because if that's not taking place, vascular spasms, headaches like that can really be produced out of that. All types of things. So that'd be one place I'd want to go for sure. Given the height, I know there'd be a real strong probability of pituitary. With that, then, I also know there's a strong probability of GI tract problems, colon problems, particularly transverse, or specifically transverse bowel. This comes with a package. And that's a neat thing you can see with iridology. It shows you how the body toxifies in what places first, and how that then spreads out through the body. There's a lot of cool things you can learn with iridology. But this is sad to read stuff like this that people have to go through. She's 30 now, but as a teenager, she went through these little strokes. And there can be serious stuff here. Also had cramps in my right foot a lot. Oh, yeah, this sounds like parathyroid down. So again, you'd want to hit the parathyroid formula a little bit, and with the bones formula a little bit to strengthen up connective tissue everywhere in your body. Also get on that lymph system so we know that you're getting your acidosis handled, so you don't lose more calcium to that. Now here's another issue. If we're right on point here, where might be another problem with a female in her 30 years old and maybe having or wanting to have what? Children. So now where would we have a problem? You're daggone right. Not on her side, postpartum on depression, but on the baby side, connective tissue, further connective tissue weaknesses, and perhaps skeletal and neurological. So these are big deals. I take them all as big deals, guys. I really do. I really don't take too many things lightly, because one thing leads to another, leads to another. Yeah, so that just pretty much growing pains, stuff like that. And with the height and all that, I think we're right down on that. You can take a picture of your eyes, take a look at the parathyroid, thyroid area, and of course then take a look at the pituitary stuff. Had my tonsils removed when I was 21. Hoping to grow them back, definitely. But it does show that you had lymphatic problems at 21 years old. So add all that together, and that's what you're dealing with. So when you add it together, you're dealing in a high acidic issue where you have a low calcium utilization. This is serious stuff when you have those twins, because then seizures and spasms and things can really occur, cramping, things like this. Well, all you have to do is spasm an artery or a vein, and you're going to have, especially an artery, of course, you're going to have ischemia at the very least, which is the blood withdrawal from cells, and at the very most, the destruction of the cell on the other side. So, real serious stuff. 5 years ago, I was diagnosed with HPV, stage 4. All right, so here's the thing. Get yourself the Hill tea and douche with it every night, or twice a morning and night if you want, but at least once a night. You get up there and you douche with it. But remember the terrain, culturing medium. And this is something you want to handle, is detox your lymph system. So whether it's any type of viral load or anything like that. But just detoxify. That'll clean out the HPVs and all this stuff like that. Stage 4. But it's enough to say that detoxification is your key to get rid of this stuff. And nothing else gets rid of this stuff. You have to understand that. Refused to have a surgery, thanks to you, 2.5 months ago. Started with eat fruits, take herbs, drink a little baking soda, now you're a smart woman here. Do other cleansing techniques. Now the cervix feels like it's healing. Yeah, that's exactly what you have to do. That's exactly what you've got to do. I would douche with that Hill tea, clean that up really good. Got that get up in you, let your hips up, and let that tea get up in there as far as you can up to the cervix and stuff. And that's why I say the herbs, you can do so many cool things and fun things with herbs. Why anybody would have a problem with herbs? I guess you can't make the money pharmaceutical companies make, but then, greed yields your karma. And you want to, be one of the boys that enjoys the toys of this planet, go right ahead, because that's where you'll be stuck for a while. And there's too many more beautiful, more etheric places that you can enjoy your beingness at. Feels almost completely smooth, but if you have specific tips, please let me know. Yep. I think there's a drug deposit in my left eye. I am not sure whether it is my uterus or appendix or something else. Well, the uterus is going to be on the other side. Let's see, which eye you're talking about here. Which one did you say? In my left eye. Okay, so the uterus is going to be just a little before 7 o'clock. Right beside the rectal wall area. So sometimes it's hard to look because you have vaginal wall at just before 7. On the other side of 7, you got the bladder. Then you got the uterus up in there, up on top of the vaginal wall. See, so, and then you have, when you look at the left eye, you have a lot crammed between 6 and 7 o'clock if you take a look at that. You got the part of the leg, you got the kidneys, you got the scrotum, rectal, vaginal, and then on the other side, starting up with the bladder and then the lower back on up. So there's a lot crammed in there. take a picture of your eyes and pull it out and take a look at that. See what you're doing there with that. Might be wise to take the female reproductive formula. It does have a pituitary herbs in there, but it's also toning to the uterus and ovaries. Might be a good thing to do while I still available those herbs that I have in there. The female herbs are being wildcrafted so fast off the planet, we're losing a lot of the good ones. That's why we need growers of organic herbs. I also checked my blood pressure today. It is 98/59. Pulse rate, 73. What does it tell you? Is it good? All right, 98. No. All right, so top number over bottom number. Now, do me a favor and check both arms. Because when you're looking at your blood pressure, you're looking at what's called systolic on top of diastolic. When you're looking in the body, what are you looking at with these stats, with these numbers? What are you trying to look at? Blood pressure, right? But what controls these things in the body? So, top up, systolic, adrenal glands, neurotransmitters, cardiac punch we call it. That's the adrenal glands, and that's a reflection of your neurotransmitters. So when it's low, that means your neurotransmitter production is low, and that means, boy, I'm tired. I just always feel tired, fatigued. You can call it chronic fatigue syndrome if you want. Just depends the degree of that. But your bottom number is 59, so you're really good there. You get too low on the bottom number. What does the bottom number tell you? If the adrenals sit on top, who sits on the bottom? Kidneys. Kidneys always. So your diastolic is always the most important pressure to look at. I don't care about the top number. That's adrenal cardiac punch. It can get up to 150. Who cares? The bottom number. And the reason that is systemic pressure. Cardiac punch can come and go, but the bottom number is your diastolic. That's your kidney pressure. And when it gets above 70, you're starting to get in trouble. So you're at 59. Now, what happens if it goes too low, like in the low 50s or so? Kidney weakness, big time. So both sides of these numbers, of course, can be problematic. But this tells me you got a whopping low adrenal gland, really low, 98. Should be 120. Give you 118 at least, but 98, snoozer, real snoozer. So that's real low energy, low myelin sheaths. This starts to give you nerve rings in the eye. And of course, that's all a walk toward neurological problems, MS, Lou Gehrig's, all that kind of crap. That's the walk. The adrenals go so low, the neurotransmitters so low, you can't recharge the myelins go down. The lymph's going down, of course, then you start getting brain lesions. It starts to build up in the cerebellum. That's your drop foot, your equilibrium, your vertigo, that's all of that. Your swinging blood pressures from that. You see where I'm going, how one thing piles on another. So truly, elimination is the key to everybody else. Now, each one of these phases, and we've talked about this before, digestion, absorption, utilization, hormones and steroids, and neurotransmitters and the like, and then, of course, we have elimination. We're having to go to the ass end of the donkey and take care of elimination. Not only the proper fuel burning, so proper stooling is nice, so we can resurrect the GI tracts of the world, but kidneys. When you start looking around as a practitioner, it's amazing how kidneys are in your face. All right. Now, let me see. I think there's a, all right. I also checked my blood pressure. Got that one. Okay. Thank you, sweetheart. Appreciate the questions. Truly important stuff. So you just work on all that. You work on the adrenals, you got two choices. You got herbs, and especially licorice root. When you're low like that, licorice root will come in real handy. Acts as a natural cortisol, helps with blood pressure, blood sugars, but it is also a great anti-inflammatory. It's also a great digestant to a certain degree. So it's, herbs have multiple functions to them. They're staggeringly incredible. Or you can go to the glandulars. And, I'm on the fence with everybody else with the glandulars. It's just when you have big-time trouble. And this is particularly true with the lady here with the TIAs or the ministrokes type things. Forget who cares? Get on that parathyroid, because there's nothing out there for parathyroid except the berries. And that's a slow take when you might need something a little faster. because you want to start strengthening connective tissue and, of course, nerve impulses, because that goes into spasms and that sort of thing, cramping and, all the things we don't want to even go there. Yvonne. Hello, Yvonne. Hi, honey. I am actually the twin of one of your patients. Wow. Yvette. Oh, so we've got Yvette and Yvonne. Twins. Oh, well, that's pretty cool. My younger son married an identical twin. I can tell them apart. I mean, pretty easy energetically and stuff, but they look real close. First of all, I want to thank you so much for treating her. Thanks, honey. We don't treat, really. We resurrect, rebuild, that sort of thing. Regeneration, rebuilding the human body. That's where we're at. You have to be at this level. Can't treat anymore, But I got what you're saying, and thank you very much. You got a very sensitive FDA that doesn't like the word treat. And I'm glad she found you. Oh, good. I have 2 questions for you, if that's okay. It's absolutely okay, honey. First, Yvette told me that you don't like Diatomaceous Earth. Yeah, I don't like anything like that at all. You're trying, you've got to accept the fact that you're a refined species on this planet. That the Homo sapien is at the pinnacle. He's a refined, neurologically advanced species. You've got your primates. They can do a lot with tools. It's amazing. Very aware. But the Homo sapien, consciousness is a little more aware here, a little more aware. And there's a lot of levels, and there's levels. I don't know, you guys probably get this, but there's a lot of levels beyond the Homo sapien too, guys. So don't let that shock you, but there's a lot of levels. The human isn't the end-all of the vertebrates. You got a lot of worlds, guys. A lot of species. But it's enough to say that. Why do people keep wanting to go down to the earth, and especially things that are extremely inorganic? So inorganic, of course, we can use it to rip the inner sides of worms and things like that, and pests and things like this. When it's that inorganic, you run the risk. And if you're somebody sitting with a highly inflamed mucosa, that would not be beneficial to the mucosa of the human GI tract. So I'm really just not hot. You're hungry for minerals, which is the least the body deals with. If you're hungry for minerals, then grab something that the body can actually use. So if you're hungry for minerals that bad, because these are just shells, go to kelp or other seaweed type foods. If you want the maximum, just get our superfood blend. But what are you trying to do with this product? What are you taking it for? Health and nutrition? Yeah, I lost my little button. No. What's healthy about it? What's energetic about it? When you start getting things that become petrified, if you will, you're talking about things that are very, very difficult for the human to break down. If you're using it to clean the GI tract, I submit to you there is much better products on the market to clean, enhance, rebuild, and invigorate the GI tract. That's all I'm saying. You got to be careful with these things, that she should not take it. Do you just don't recommend it at all, or just for some people? My daughter just started taking it 2 weeks ago and just got back from her doc. She diagnosed her with Crohn's disease. For her, in your opinion, should she continue DE or stop it? Stop it. I'm telling you, when you got a very inflamed mucosa and bowel wall, you want to be real careful what you put down there. And you don't want something that is so inorganic that it has the potential to tear a little bit. You just, you don't want to even go there. There's no need. And the electrical charge of this is so small. We're electrical beings. And I just tell people, get our heads out of the ground. Because there's a lot of levels of thought. And we just talked to Randy on the last video about that. The energetic exchange from these elements, as opposed, because these are all metals and things that are just harden like rocks. And what benefit do you expect to get out of this? And that's the thing. It's not a food source for Homo sapiens. Far from it. Excuse me, it's something you would have never done. And if she's got Crohn's, that's serious. And we just talked about a Crohn's case the last video. Want to review that and get done with that Crohn's, because nothing ever good comes when you let acids sit, no matter where they're sitting and burning back. Nothing good. Always bad comes from that. So you want to fix that right up. For her, in your opinion, yeah, thanks so much. Love your videos. Love you too. Thank you so much for that question. Was there two here? Anyway, be careful. You know, there's plenty of herbs that are soothing and healing and nutritive as hell. Look at all the broad range spectrums. You get something so inorganic, it's not a broad range spectrum chemical substance. Electrical charges are low, things like that. And if you want energy and things like that, quit wallowing in dirt and stuff like that. We don't crave dirt and things like that. This is not dirt, but still, it's shell. Still, I mean, it's similar stuff. Very inorganic stuff, in my opinion. I will call that inorganic. I mean, there's all in chemistry, we have different thoughts about what's organic chemistry and what's inorganic chemistry. And my thoughts are a little different, too, on that. Because for me, any chemistry that's an isolate is inorganic. An organic substance is something that's bonded synergistically together in proper ratios to make it a benefit for its use or as a substance for life on the planet. So the more inorganic something gets, the more unbioavailable it gets to the body, and then can become a burden to the body. You know, this is the other thing about some of these earthly products, if you will, is that their charges are so low they can remove charges from you and also add to the the hit on the mucosa. Not worth it when there's so much nutritional stuff out there. But keep in mind, how many of you are all on fruit? How many of you even seen babies now being raised on fruit? You know, one of our problems with babies raised on fruit, they're becoming little gorillas. I mean, this is not just my grandkids. We're wanting to see them all over the place now. These kids are getting to become strong, not fat, strong and muscle-bound, intelligent. They've got all things working for them. I mean, there's no way. This is amazing to see what's happening with the raw food kids out there. These are going to be the killers of the future, man. Amazing stuff. Amazing stuff. Oh, this is Robby, 1983. 1983. That year went kind of fast, I think. I love your YouTube channel. Love you too, man. Thank you so much. I really love how you explain things and are doing it. Oh, thanks. Try, because we all got to understand how things work. And if we can all pull together and understand and work together, it's one thing. Some of these supplements one can take without too much of a blowback. But those are generally water-soluble, like vitamins, like your Bs and things like this. But still, when you I've seen tests where they showed the difference between natural B vitamins that occur or produced by a bacterium and then the synthetics, and how it changes the arc across the myelins and the nerves. Amazing stuff. So it really always comes back to holistic is always more powerful and better in every way, shape, or form. What a big truck just pulled up. Wow. Some goodies coming. Lucky he got into our parking lot. Some of these truckers can really move those vehicles around. Let me see here. Let's look at this. What's going on with you there, my man? First of all, when I go to the bathroom to urinate, I always leak about 2 minutes after. This a man? James, yep. Well, there's a couple things I'd do with that. I'd definitely go after my prostate. I'd go after my bladder. And go after my kidneys. Now, kidneys and bladder are all going to go together there. I'm going after my adrenal glands too, because I know that controls it. I'm going to pull that lymph system and start getting it filtering, because I need to get that inflammation out of my prostate. If my bladder sphincter is weakened, I want to strengthen that. But this is all the signs of inflammation always. All men go through that have kidney weakness, that have prostatitis and stuff like that. The bladder, same thing. Women can do the same thing. You know, it's just, this is all inflammation, and you want to get it out of there because it does tell us that you probably have prostatitis to a certain degree. You might want to have your PSAs checked just to make sure you know what's going on down below. But where might be another place we might want to check here? Being a sphincter, maybe being a little weak, still could be the prostate, let me tell you. Or any of the tubes. It could be all of that. Ureters, urethras. So, you clean yourself up down there. That's all you can say. Get your eyes and take a look. You take a picture of your eyes and see what you got going down there. It'd be a good look because you'd be in line to mess up the rectal area too. All that's so close right down there. So I would do that. I would get on a couple kidney formulas, adrenals, go after my lymph system, get into the GI tract, maybe take the prostate formula for a little while, anti-inflammatories type stuff, you know, and start strengthening. You might want to visit that parathyroid gland just in case your sphincters are getting weakened. Get up to that parathyroid, hit that for about a month or a couple weeks anyway with a bones formula. See if you can strengthen any weakness in the sphincters. Your valves. I also wake up in the night to urinate a lot. Yeah. You know what's up, don't you? Yeah, that's all prostatitis. This is all inflammation down there. So you want to see where your PSAs are just for your own, how fast do I got to go? You know what I'm saying? But get yourself up on a fruit diet, especially a grape diet, things like that. You know, tropical diet. Let's get all that cleaned up there. Get your bladder cleaned out, your kidneys, get them filtering, get your adrenals up, clean out the bowels. You can do all those sort of things. But also, let me see where my time is here. I've got a client. Oh, good. I got plenty of time. But that's what's going on, and you definitely want to get this handled. You know, that's the family. Also, constant itching at night, especially around my groin area, a lot of fungus down there. Your lymph's backed up down there. That's why you see the inflammation, the loss of calcium to that, or the inflammation can weaken the sphincter, or the tubes, bladder, everything like that. All of that. Or you could have a tilted, folded bladder. I mean, all these things can be an issue. But the parathyroid, strengthening that line would be a good idea as well. Now, the itching, the jock itch, and all this stuff, that's just fungus in you. Take the Parasite M till this clears up, but you're all right there at the kidneys. Fix that, clean all that up, and then you won't have any room for fungus. They'll go out with the wash, so to speak. But you want to get your lymph moving and get that prostate handled because next will be L4, L5, the lower back, and then everything just starts spreading upwards and downwards. Feet swell, ankles swell, you know, cramping, that sort of thing. Especially basically scared from constant, and is basically scarred from constant itching. Yeah, I know it. You can just rip your skin off with this stuff. I know exactly what it is. You could do a couple of ways. Get that, or antifungal, or find an antifungal salve, herbal antifungal salve, and use that topically. Internally, you're going to hit yourself, I would, with Parasite M, about a dropper and a half, 4 times a day at least. You hit it hard. Do that for about a month and a half until all that itching is gone and all the craving for starches and cheeses are gone. Because you'll just keep itching yourself to death there and weakening and ripping the skin and yeah. I'm a 6'5". Whoa, wow. So pituitary, huh? I also have flaky red inflamed skin around eyes and ears. Yeah. And see, all of that granulation and all that, you want all that out of there. You know, that's all lymph. I had it growing up when we were drinking milk on the farms. You know, we were milk drinkers. And unfortunate. So, but same thing, granulated eyelids, da-da-da-da-da-da. And you know, it's just all acids and lymph and mucus. And when it dries, it flakes. Same thing up here, dandruff and stuff like that. But all that tells us that you're backed up lymphatically in the head area. Now, you know where we go with that. Alzheimer's, dementia, all these sort of things. Don't like any of that. And you already have that problem because something's going on with your pituitary to get you up at 6'5". So generally either inflammation or lymph backing up there, or a real genetic weakness. You've got to pull your eyes to take a look at that. If you could help me with what herbs to buy, would be much appreciated. I hope this gets to you. Has been years of this now. Oh, you're welcome, James. Well, thank God we got to it. Well, you want to get all that out of the head area. That's get your sinuses cleaned out, get all this inflammation or acids out, and all that redness and flakiness will back and go away. All that'll go away. But it's tied to the lower part too. It's all systemic, of course, and so that's why you got to go after those kidneys, the adrenal glands, go after that prostate with herbs. When I say go after is tropical diets and botanicals. We use glandulars if needed, but those two are your focus. With those, you can accomplish literally almost anything in the health field. I mean, literally anything. Some of you have already proved that over and over to everyone else. Some of you have done marvelous, darlings. Always keep your enthusiasm. This world is Peyton Place. Peyton Place is the same thing as Days of Our Lives. If nobody knows what those are, they're called soap operas. This is just one, creation is one big soap opera of God. That's how it has activity, that's how it has expression, that expresses through itself. It's all within the body of God, all of this. So, it's just a playground. And you're the player on the playground. So you have to learn that. As soon as you learn you're the player and you can control that, you can do whatever you want. You're free. You woke up. And there's degrees of wakening up. Some you can't get to in this lifetime because they're you can't handle them. They you wouldn't come back. You can't get there. I've been real close, and I can only tell you that there's no way in hell you can come back. It's hard. It's and they won't latch you as a rule. All right, Stephan. Hello, I appreciate a lot what you do. Thank you, man. Thanks for writing me, too. Listen to you on YouTube. Very interesting, your focus on the lymph system. Yeah, I was thinking you had all these medical doctors that are lymphologists, and you have this society. How come this society isn't stepping up? Because even if they didn't understand the lymphatic system, now with the new University of Virginia where they found the lymph system in the brain actually finally, and now the new lymphatic systems are being found, this could be a real good time for medical doctors to go, oh, look what we found. This changes things, and walk yourself out of this nightmare you've created. This would give you a good opportunity to back out of that karma, give you a chance to turn that around by helping others the right way, and you'll be off that path and you'll be doing good. So this is a good time for medical doctors that understand this to get out of the karma field. That things are coming that way, and get into a good feeling and understanding. And your system already does recognize the lymph system. It's just that it's just a few. It's funny. Associations and powers like that, ostracizing the few, which has the most answers for them. Typical stuff here. You say humans are frugivores. The apes eat not only fruit, but are up to 50%. Well, the mountain gorillas probably have a little fruit, unfortunately. It's a fact. That's a fact. And I was at Disney World, and I was watching them feed the great apes, and silverback, and it's all vegetables. And I was kind of into this one silverback, and I was just kind of trying to communicate consciousness-wise, and it was like, I want my fruit. These vegetables suck. It's just the impression that gorilla was sending me, and I was communicating. It was like, wow. It's enough to say you're absolutely spot on, but the problem is these are all frugivores. We're all stuck in places where obviously we don't have that luxury. And of course with the great apes, they're being shoved up in the mountains further and further and further. So those poor sweeties, all they've got is tender greens. And at least they're surviving. But again, they have the same GI tracts we do. So it doesn't matter. They're having a hard time digesting the greens as anybody else does. I'm sure there's some genetic adaptation perhaps, but they're not herbivores at all. So it doesn't make for superior food. You give any primates, but you especially see where the primates are located where they should be. And orangutans are pretty close to that. And like I said, I only saw one mama orangutan once grab 2 different types of fruit and put them by where she was sitting so she would have her fruit for herself. But she did go beyond mono. So that means, of course, she knew that she liked the flavor of that one and she liked the flavor of that one too. So she liked them both. I found everywhere in literature that fructose is 90% metabolized in the liver converted to glucose, so you can erase that right off, because that's not factual. I'd like to know what you think about that. Thanks, Stephen. I've already addressed that. Healing practitioner, Germany, go, man. That's untrue at all. Man, totally untrue. And guess, think about these things. I mean, you're working in biochemistry and theory, so you can throw that one out. There are only 3 simple sugars of nature, right? Galactose is milk sugar, glucose is vegetable sugar, and fructose is fruit sugar. It's that simple. There are 3 simple sugars that's simple to understand and essential to have. The nice thing about the fruit sugars, the fructose, not high fructose corn syrup for those who don't have a brain. We're talking about fructose. We're talking about fruit sugar, which you're going to have sugar in fruit. They're carbohydrates. They're carbon chain constituents. Without a sugar, you're laying on a stretcher getting ready to either be burned or buried. You got to have a sugar, guys. That's carbon. And without carbon, you're a dead duck. Your cells are, meaning your physical body is. You're never dead. But you might have to get another body or something. Whew. Anyway. Sometimes you have to think beyond A and P, because right now the A and P is being broken apart by new discoveries all the time. And so when we go to A and P, anatomy and physiology, and we think they have all the answers, think again. Some of you professors listen to this YouTube and you know exactly what I'm talking about. Particularly my friend she understands that the lymph system, and that's before they found the lymphatic system and the University of Virginia, the lymph system. We've talked about that for a long time, and she knows quite well that you can't dump acids into the venous system at that rate, not without death occurring. So, but not true at all, man. This is part of the medical world that's crazier than hell. There's no reason to convert fructose to glucose because glucose is inferior. Glucose is burned real quick, doesn't need to have a carrier because it diffuses that quick. And it doesn't need a carrier like glucose, a little inferior, so you need an insulin carrier. How nice for type 1s, right? Right. So it's a superior sugar, essential. These people on this planet that think sugars are bad for you need to rethink. They're looking at the wrong thing. Complex sugar's bad for you, but that's like saying amino acids are bad for you. If you say a sugar's bad for you, you have to say amino acids are bad for you and fatty acids are bad for you. And who's going to say that but people that are uninformed? Misguided, misled, lied to. Healers have been lied to in their classes. Nobody's going to have a problem with fruit sugars. I mean, if you have adrenal gland weakness, you're going to have trouble with all the sugars because it's sugar metabolism. With type 1, you're only talking about insulin problems, so that's glucose and galactose, not fructose. But with adrenals, that's all the sugars. I don't care what you eat. So you would specifically not want starch, which is poly. So any di or poly, which di means 2 or more, so di or poly, that's multiple sugars put together, that's not what we're talking about. You asked me about fructose, which is a simple sugar. And the body has to have that. It's mandatory. And the nice thing about fructose, it is superior. And it turns on cells like crazy. ATP, ADP, and all the other TPs, triphosphates. Whether it's di, mono, doesn't matter. Same type of thing. So don't buy into this as a healer in Germany. Buy into this crap about liver and turning fructose. It'd be hard to even get fructose turning into galactose or into glycogen. Because you burn that fast. it would be real hard to eat that much fructose that you had been converting into fat. It's possible, I suppose, but I don't know. I don't know, but good question, my friend. You're a healing practitioner. Good to see you. You know, we need to get together, all of us practitioners, all of us, under one roof of an association to where we have some power to get something done here. Because all these countries, and you're in a country that slammed you guys bad, we can't even get herbs in your country. That's a kick to the German people, to me, because Germany has always been the hot spot for essential oils, herbs, and so Germany's always been respected for that amongst our people. Now they sign on to the Codex Agreement, not so much. But thanks for that question. But this is some of the things that you practitioners have to think on for yourself. If you fall into the groove of AMA thinking, look where they are. The number one killer of humans on this planet, bar none. What about the destruction of tissue and the maiming of others? That's so high we can't even count it. So don't fall into their kind of philosophies and idealisms because they don't work and they make no sense. Be common sense, which is intelligence and awareness. Figure it out yourself. Because we have way too many chemical processes and interactions for them to find out the truth, looking at the subnano levels or the subatomic levels and all these to try to figure all this out. You're not going to do it. You're going to get lost more and more and more. That's what's happened to them. Allison. Hey, Allison. I'm a 20-year-old woman, and I have HPV. Oh, this is HPV day. HPV day. Genital warts. I know what they are. I just can't pronounce words this long, guys. That's just, I'm a country boy, and I never wasted my time. I'm in science majors. I'm into science, math, things like that. Typical male thinkers. But that's all it is. And there's abbreviations for everything under the sun nowadays. I don't know how to get rid of them. Please help. I'm Robby, and we'll know that warts are, to me, they're all part of a fungal type of thing. You know, you'll get these warts or get these things, even though they're called virals. Doesn't matter. All the same type of hitchhikers, if you will. So how do you get rid of hitchhikers? Well, those that are actually microbes, you can kill those. And you can get rid of those with, say, like parasite M. The virals are detoxifiers. Now, I would go on parasite M and G, deworm myself, go on parasite M for maybe a dropper and a half full, 4 times a day for maybe a couple months. But the only way you're going to get rid of these is detox them out of your body. That's all you got to do is detox these out of your body, and it'll detox right out of there. Get after that lymph system, because all virals and warts and things thrive where the lymph. You'll see them growing right. See anybody with warts and moles on them? Take a look, because they're growing right along the lymph channels. They're growing right along the sewer channels. Would they not? See, so when you start to understand more of how this is, you start going, what's this? A sewage back? It's acid sewage. Kills your ass, but it's just acid sewage, and able to handle it. You guys are able to understand that and able to get a remedy because you know how to deal with things you understand. You don't know how to deal with things that are made up and so complicated no one can understand them, not even the people that made them up. Of course you can't find a remedy there, but you can here because it's easy to understand how we create things and how we simply unwind that. No big deal. End of story. Now we can go have fun traveling out of body. I'm raw vegan, mostly fruit. What herb should I take and what should I do? What is the best way to get rid of them? Please help. This is ruining my... I know, honey, bad stuff. I'm spiraling into a dark place spiritually because of this. Don't. This is just your body, my dear one. You got to check the ego, honey. And you're female, and you have to be careful. I understand where you're coming from with the female and all that. It's just a physical body. You have all power over that body to fix it. So you'll go through a little detox program, but you'll get all that out of you. Plus, listen to this. Excuse me. You can regenerate all your genetic weaknesses while you're doing this. And then when you're going to be Miss Mama, you're going to have good babies. When you look around at what's going on with some of these parents and their babies and what the states are doing to them, make your babies healthy. We are in an insane world where souls are going off their rocker, and I'm talking about judges. Judges can't think any further than anybody else. They're the same closed-minded butts of everyone else. There's lawyers in dresses. And no offense, but I've had nothing but bad, corrupt lawyers, or lawyers too, but particularly federal judges. My God, we need to cut them right out and limit their terms and make them prove they're honest people. I'm telling you, it's a mess in the federal judicial system. It is a mess. It's a politically driven system now. It has nothing to do about law and fact. Nothing. All political. Yeah, I mean, they're contractual courts and you play around with contracts, big deal. But honey, do not let this spiral you down spiritually. You do not let anything bring you down like that, or you'll get trapped and you'll get stuck in these lower worlds, and you don't want to do that. Your body is separate from you. Don't let it spiral you down. I'll give you the information to clean this out, and you clean it out and you're done. Okay? I am so grateful for what you do. Please help. Of course I'm going to help you, Allison. Always help you. You'll just get into that body of yours. Get into the kidneys. Get on that first kit. If you can afford it, get that first kit. From that kit, then take off down that lymphatic side. I would tell you on the parasitem for a while, just to get those microbes out. But at the same time, you've got to clean up your sewer system because that's where they're growing. Notice all where they grow? All these things are just following your sewage, guys. Following the sewage lines. Leticia? Leticia? Hi, I think I heard Dr. Morse say we could write to you and ask for the instructions about how to make tinctures. Is this possible? Could you tell me how? You know what? I probably won't do that on this channel, but Mary Gladstar has a nice coursework. Not expensive, gives you a little herbal degree, and she teaches you how to... Tinctures are real easy to make, guys. Real easy to make. So you want to get your menstruum, whatever that is, but generally grain alcohol will do. We used to use 190 proof for our herbs. These are pharmaceutical grain alcohols, by the way. But we are now using the sugarcane alcohol. Unfortunately, it's costing us more per bottle. So in the future, we haven't had a raise on our herbal formulas in 10, 15 years. Figure it out. 10 or 15 years, how much more have we been paying for bottles, for herbs and everything else, and we've kept our prices down just eating all of it. But the alcohol is going up because it's special and everything else, so after a while, you know, you got to bump your herbs up $1 or something. And we try not to, but life, you know, they get you. But tinctures are easy to make. We distill ours, try to distill ours for 30 days. We try to do it lunar, but when you're at this level, it's hard, you know, to do all those considerations. Ours are 1:4 concentrate. That's 4 parts menstruum to 1 part herb. You can't get any tighter than that. So you want more alcohol than water, say 3 parts alcohol to 1 part water. And, you know, you have to shake them every day, keep them in a dark place, and let them sit for about 30 days. The key is pressing. We had a 55-ton press. That's 110,000 pounds. That's a press. Some of these other presses are only 15 to 20,000 pound presses. They're okay, but you see the difference in our formulas. That's because they're 1:4 and they're pressed with a major press. And we let them sit there and love each other for a little while longer than most people. When Christopher had sold his formulas to Nature's Way had a company that was making them. I think the distillation time was 7 days, and they weren't organic herbs. The company approached us a long time ago, and it's like, are you serious? Cheap, though. Real cheap. I think the cost for a 2-ounce bottle was $1 something. I was 30 years ago, maybe 20 years ago. Still, I was paying At that time, I was paying up to $7 something a bottle, but they would do it for $1 something a bottle. That's the difference. Amazing stuff. I'm currently gathering some wild herbs needed for kidney tincture 2 and 4. Oh, good. But I need to know the details. This is because of the money issue. Oh, I got it. And I recommend all of you make your own. Well, you could just make a tea out of it and not do a tincture. But again, 1 to 4, 1 to 5 is your strongest as you want to go to yield you enough liquid to last you a while. You get it too thick and syrupy, I don't know. So you want to I do 3 parts alcohol, one part distilled water, and 1 part herb, and let that sit there in a bottle where you can shake it every day and let it sit in a dark place for 30 days and cap that baby and press it. The trick is getting a press that's good enough for that. But oh yeah, I invite everybody to have fun with herbs. Always. I'm more of a clinical herbalist, to be honest with you. That's where my expertise is. I don't have an expertise all across the board because when you're distilling like that, you've got to distill roots a little bit differently than you do your flowers and your leaves. Your ratios are a little different. Alcohol ratios less when you have flowers and leaves because they're more tender. It's easier to extract the chemistry out of flowers and leaves than they are roots and barks. So there is a lot of difference in the same thing when you're prepping a tea. If you're making a tea to drink, you only really have to lightly steam, maybe to a light side of boil on flowers and leaves, but on roots, good to bring them to a boil for about 5 minutes. But on the water, on the real tender, the less heat, the better on the leaves and the. You can even let them distill out in the sun. Would give you a powerful thing right there, Sun tea out of herbs. I got an appointment here in a little bit, but I'm going to keep on going. Hi, Dr. Morse. Love binge watching your videos. Thanks, man. The most informative and straightforward video on the YouTube. Thanks. I love you, man. Thanks. Here's my cue. I'm wondering how to wean oneself off of laxatives and get the colon working. Yeah, that's a good question. No one's asked me that question before. That's an excellent question. Whew-wee, and that's part of the problem. And this is why I don't do stimulants. And even the de-earth stimulants and that sort of thing. These can act as stimulants, bad stimulants. Well, you're going to have to get on our formulas. Stomach and bowel formulas. Now, if you've been on laxatives, I've got 5 bowel formulas. And none of them are laxatives. My number 5 is real close, but it's not. It's so close that if you're using, say, Schultz's laxatives and stuff, you're going to get addicted. These are true laxatives. I don't believe in laxatives unless you can't get open, and I can't imagine anybody not getting open on my number 5. But we do have some Crohn's that they're trying to push stool through this big of an opening. So we need to have some strong laxative type sometimes, but rare. So if it's real bad and you've been on them long term, I'd go to my number 5, 2 to 3 times a day. Try to make that move. If you can make that move to that, you're good. Then you can start coming down. Every month you can go to 4, then you go to number 3, and your body can do that. It'll adjust to that. At the same time, though, get away from constipating foods. All right, get away from, and you might be able to come down even faster than that. You might be able to jump from our number 5 to our number 3 and then down to our number 1. But you want to think about why you've been on them in the first place. And so you want to address some things. The first thing I would address is my kidney and adrenals because of a couple of reasons. Neurotransmitters for the nervous system for peristalsis. That's a good one. The other one is the lymph system, because the thicker the lymph system becomes in the gut wall, the more cationic it creates, and creates an agglomeration of mucus that gets hard. And when you get hardened mucus in that bowel wall, it hardens the bowel itself, makes for less peristalsis. Of course, as you remove the calcium and stuff, less nerve impulses, all of this. So I'm going to go in there and I'm going to go after my kidneys, adrenals, my lymph system. I'm going to use a brain and nerve formula for my nervous system through enhanced peristalsis. Absolutely. And then I'm also going to use a bowel formula that's not a laxative. And that way I can wean myself down, 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 and I got it. And I came out of this looking pretty good. That's what I would do. And you can use some GI broom then to clean deeper as you move down through that. I'm noticing an increase in acne, weight gain, and body odor since relying on Senna to move my bowels after taking antibiotics. Yeah. You know, I mean, I hate to say this, and it's not me, but you could throw one little dose of probiotics in there and turn your head and walk on. But it doesn't take long to reseat the body as long as you're not plastered with sulfur. Here's another thing you could have a problem with. You could have sulfur build up all on the bowel wall, and you're fighting that. That could be a thing for you there. So I'm going to detox my bowel wall. I'm going to kick up my nervous system. I'm going to do all those things we talked about. A nice fruit will electrify. Here's another thing. Electrical foods are electrical, so that electricity transposes neurologically on the bowel wall. So there's all kinds of cool things. By going into the raw and everything else, you start turning everything on, moving the lymph, you make the bowel wall more pliable. By turning on the adrenals, you get more neurotransmitters to turn on the autonomic nervous system. And you get your bowel habits back. But you want to get them back because laxative is no way to go. And that reminds me, Richard Schultz, you need to make your own formulas. You're better than Schultz. I mean, you're better than Christopher, you know. Kristen. Hey, Kristen. Hello, Dr. Morse. I'm about to buy a water filter, and I'm looking into getting a reverse osmosis. I hope it's a good choice to drink every day. Can I use the water for when I'm doing an enema? Oh, yeah, very much so. And what's nice about RO water is you can put your herbs in there. And, of course, we know how osmosis works, right? Dense moves into the less dense. Law of equilibrium, homeostasis, right? So all of those things can be helpful when you get basically a zero or a distilled water, RO. When you make your herb tea with that, it pulls the nutrition out of the herbs better. Because when you're making your tea in regular water, it's already full of minerals and stuff. You do acidically combine and break down and lock. But when you're using a void liquid like water, being the universal solvent, if you will, put your tea in that, and you'll have a much better tea, a much more flavorful tea. I like to use herbs in distilled waters because of that issue. You'll pour more nutrition into it out of the plant. You know, think about how chemistry works through osmosis and diffusion and things like this, where those substances with more particles will move in. Those particles can move into less denser areas to achieve this homeostasis. And that's just, so I like what you're thinking about. Prior time buying, I don't know about water filters myself because I have a whole house RO system. And so I don't worry with filters. But I do have a filter between the RO system and the house, and it's a charcoal with colloidal silver in it. Good questions today. Real good questions. Urine will be cloudy if kidneys are filtering, and urine will also be cloudy if it contains crystals, like phosphates and stuff. Is there any connection to kidney filtration and these crystals? Well, I think anything that the body has to discharge out of it, whether it's phosphorus compounds, whether it's carbon compounds, because there's all kinds that have to leave the body, all in the form of acids. And they have to leave the body. So whatever crystals, you can see crystals of calcium too. So you can see these things leaving the body, absolutely. My urine upon rising in the morning is usually alkaline and cloudy when I think is due to crystals. Might be, because you shouldn't see, I mean, I don't know where you would get the crystals with alkalinity. Interesting, though. And phosphates would tend to be acidic, because phosphates are, we have the problem in Florida with, and that's a sad, acid, there are beneficial sides of acids. And if you're familiar with laundries, doing your laundry in phosphate-free soap doesn't clean laundry well. And that's where all the Tides and all these people struggle, because their soaps don't clean anymore. And this is particularly true. You have to go to dish soap, like Dawn or something, if you want to get the fat solubles out of your clothes. Because today, laundry detergents suck without the phosphates. But the phosphates are the acids principles that help to strip. So it's just, we have phosphate mines all over the place in Florida, and we're trying to stop all that because of the acid factors. But again, in laundry work, you see what it's like not having these. So I don't know about that sort of thing. How you have cloudiness in urine and still have an alkaline urine. Interesting, though, I have to say. And if you have phosphate type of crystals, that would suggest they were acidic. So I don't know what to say about this question. I know this because the cloudiness disappears when I add vinegar and acid. That's interesting. You sure they're phosphates? They could be calcium crystals, could be calcium phosphates, or could be like your kidney stones, your calcium oxalates or something. Normally, if I am filtering, I just see specks floating when I swirl the urine. Well, there are some crystalline factors that you see, and it's not just mucus threads. So there's definitely minerals in there, crystalline minerals, phosphates. So phosphates as a rule are acidic to me. So I don't know. Maybe I'm not remembering my biochemistry like I should. It's only been 40 years. Ugh. But good question. But I would still be working on my kidney and adrenal glands, because the alkaline urine is not acceptable. So I don't know. Yeah, my grandmother loved vinegar. Get this, vinegar's an acid, right? So is the sun. So guess what my grandmother liked to do for sunburns? Vinegar. Boy, would we run. Pep. I must say, thank you for sharing your knowledge and inspiring us. Thanks. I hope I do, because this is a lot of fun. And you guys can get your remedies and all kinds of things. This is so neat. The spiritual side is really the cool side, I think. My mom was diagnosed with ALS. My mom was diagnosed with ALS in December 2014. She has been gluten, dairy, and sugar-free since. Sadly, deterioration has been rapid. Frozen muscles in arms, poor speech, and swallow reflex constantly tried.
Got 4 bags of oranges. We'll try them out.
You got 4 bags of oranges?
Yeah.
I got some oranges. I got some oranges. Yeah. Let's do the, what do you call that? Gigging or whatever it is. Okay. So think about this, guys. How long has a person been acidic that starts to see this level of problems? Most of their lives, to be honest with you. Most of their lives. To your muscles to be so acidic they become very cationic, meaning agglomerated. Hard for me to still get with that, because I'm still back at the catabolic processes. Anyway, it's enough to say that this is extreme acidosis. Frozen muscles and arms. That's how acidic this poor thing is. Poor speech. Her nervous system's so far down she can't even swallow anymore. This is horrible. I hate these type of conditions, because when you lose your nerves, boy, oh my God. She has started your 14-week protocol. Thank you. 100% fruits, berries, and melons. Quit playing back in the back pasture. Nothing in there anymore. So you want your fruits, berries, and melons. when she's going down that 14-week protocol, make sure upper circuit, brain, and nerve every time. Upper circuit, brain, and nerve, upper circuit, brain, and nerve. And she could increase the dosage by a half on those. Go after it aggressively. Now, you know you've got to get these acids out of the body. Where do they go out at? Either they're going to sweat them out or you're going to pee them out. So that's where you're going. You want to go after the thyroid to get her to sweat, but you don't want to get her hot, because with a condition like this, hot, she'll lose her voice. She'll lose her ability to swallow. You don't want her hot. You want to keep her cool. Remember, she's very acidic. You keep her cool down. Excuse me. Been detoxing myself. Again, that brain and nerve formula, get to enhance the nervous system. What else do you want to enhance? The adrenal glands, neurotransmitter production. So you want to get into those adrenal glands. Yeah, do the 400s is what I would be doing, at least the glandulars for now, maybe moving into the herbs and, say, licorice root in the future, because you're going to see her blood pressure go boom. As you get those kidneys and get that inflammation out of those adrenals, her blood pressure is going to go boom. And that's where you want to support her with licorice root or something. She has swollen feet. What's that, guys? What happens? What makes your feet swollen? When you lose your kidneys. Is that connected to stiff, tight muscles? Totally 100%. Is that connected with the swelling area? Totally 100%. Hot flashes and palpitations. She's so acidic. You see what's going on. She's becoming one big acid, meaning she'll be one big petrified human. Just like it does wood, it'll do you. Is this normal? Normal for what? This is normal when you're in trouble. This is normal when you're in trouble. And especially with ALS or MS. In addition to herbs, is there anything else? Raw food hard to swallow and weight loss extreme. All right. Yep. I'll tell you what. You can't care about her weight. I don't care who's around her. She's going to lose her. She's going to become a rock on you. And that's hell. Bad karma. So let's unwind her karma. All right? Let's get her karma unwound. So first of all, you got to bring in the coolness. So what thing cool could you add to these herbs? A little pinch of it now and then. Baking soda. Get aluminum-free baking soda and add a little pinch, which is bicarbonate. Add a little pinch in with these herbs. Another thing you could do is work her neural lymphatics down her spine. Hot and cold applications to the back of the head and the spine. Hydrotherapy, hot and cold massages. Get that lymph moving. And you're going into that body with only fruits, berries, and melons. I don't care. Don't make her smooth. This matter. Just juice them for her then. Juice them and let her sip them. And let her sip them. Because they're electric. And that electricity, anything you give her dead will make swallowing even more of a problem. Any cooked foods or anything like that makes swallowing even more difficult. You want alive foods, easy to swallow, full of water, things that you can swallow easy, and electric. And that's why you want to get into fruits, the berries, and the melons only, because you want to turn this person on. They are in trouble. And you got to fix this, Pep. Got to help get this done here. Because this poor girl's suffering. Let us know if you need any help with that. You can't worry about the weight. She has too much of this and can't get anything down. If she gets that advanced on us before we can turn her around, you got to have a feeding tube put in her. And while you're having it, get a bigger diameter one so we can put some goodies down her. All right? That doesn't mean anything. You're just a temporary feeding tube. Get a gastric feeding tube, not an NG tube. If you have to. If you have to. That's why you get on these things now, so we don't have to, require the medical doctors to help us with tubes and stuff. But you want to work on her now. Stat now. Victor, hey Victor, coldness. Hi, Dr. Morse. I have digestive problems and feel funny with fruits, but okay with bad food. Isn't that funny? It's funny, but it's like an ulcer. Feed an ulcer, and the pain goes away. Oh, look, I'm okay. I just had to eat something. And at the very time, it's getting worse and worse and worse and worse. Amazing. Amazing. But that's how it is, That's exactly how it is. When you start eating the good foods for a while, they can feel like they're tearing you up, but they're just cleaning and interacting with the bad boys. Also have varicose veins and stasis dermatitis. Well, right off, you know, immediately your lymph system's down. Immediately you're backed up lymphatically. That's for sure. So you want to get rid of that problem right off. That's for sure. The varicose veins, this is a big one too. Where would you go with the varicose veins? Parathyroid? Parathyroid. And you want to go there because what kind of problems could you have when your vascular walls become weak and herniated? Aneurysms. So, I'd be very, very careful. I'd get on the parathyroid glandular with the Bones formula till those babies pull in. As we talked about earlier, maybe 10 milligrams I think is too light. Double your dosages to 20s. We'll have the 50s in here one of these days soon. But this is serious stuff when you start to lose your integrity of connective tissue because of fear of aneurysms. Hell, if the other won't get you, the aneurysm will. That sort of thing. But get rid of this skin issue. Get rid of this. Is all acids coming out, man. You just got to get that lymph moving. So that goes right back to what? Kidneys. So this shows you that you're backed up interstitially. That's around all the cells, right? In your gut, could be in your liver, your pancreas, and everything else. Get a picture of your eyes and take a look at yourself. See what's up. See what your genetic pool is and how bad your lymph system is or is not. And that'll give you a good handle on where you stand and what you have to work on. Because if you have to grab a liver formula, you grab a liver formula. But you always want to grab, no matter what you're dealing with, you always want to consider lymph as the king problem in the body. Even if it's not, which is be $1 million, that's when you'd want to bet on the lotto because that'd be the most rarest thing you ever saw. You still can't hurt yourself because all the tissues you're working on are the tissues that are hurting in everybody. So you can't go wrong no matter what you do. That's the beauty of it. You can't go wrong. It's all good for you. Oh my God, this is too much. It's too easy. My God, maybe we ought to wait another 100 years before this planet's ready for this. It's too simple for them. They haven't suffered enough yet here. Isn't that a horrible thought? But thanks for enjoying the videos. I love you, man. Appreciate it. But Victor, you get after that body inside, get on the stomach and bowel formulas, clean that up, get your kidneys and adrenals going, get that lymph filtering, that sort of thing, and clean up that digestive because that's very important. That's your first shoot out. Digestion and absorption, you mess with those and then everybody else suffers, So thanks for the question and keep on going down that world. And this is Terry. Hey, Terry. Well, Doc, I met you at level 1 class in April 2015. Hell of a class it was, don't you think, my dear? A hell of a class. It was wonderful meeting and talking with you. Same here, sweetheart, I remember. Can you explain why someone would need to have 70 cc's of fluid removed from their knee? They are an athlete. I shan't read on. Let's stop right there. What would your thoughts be, my fellow friends? Well, to have a knee problem in the first place, what kind of problem would you have to have? Kidney, wouldn't you? Because your knees can take quite a bit as long as you don't damage them. And even if you damage them, they can heal, right? If what? If you're filtering right. If you're filtering your lymph system, because an athlete in particular does what? Pounding the pavement, whether it's knees, wrists, elbows, all of it, hips. So all these tissues are just like every other tissue. They produce acid waste, and when you ask them to perform even more for you, or you want them to perform at their peak, that's like turning the old, or like putting your foot on your gas pedal, or turning the speed up on anything. You're going to require more energy, you're going to burn more energy, you're going to have more chemical residues created. So everybody knows if they go to the gym and work out, they use lactic acid as an example. From the muscles, you're going to get lactic acid. You know how you get kind of stiff and sore after a hard workout? That's lactic acid. You're just experiencing the increase in metabolism that you did and the acid blowback from that. That's why after you work out, what would be the smartest thing you could do after you work out? Yeah, a bunch of water, but what would even be better than that? Fruit juices. Really clean and inspire. Clean the kidneys, get them filtering, especially after a good workout. Just suck down a bunch of grapes or something. Just clean your body up after you work out. But if you're an athlete and you don't fix this, you're going to kiss your knees goodbye. And next is going to be the hip above it. You just got to fix these things. And that's all. Whenever you see water retention or fluid retention, probably more than water, that's acidosis, big-time acidosis. And he's going to lose his knee and everything else out of that. The only way to fix this and keep your knee without a new knee is get up there and get your kidneys filtering. And if he's lost some tissue, then get the parathyroid up and see if you can rebuild the knee a little bit. But you're going to have to, and this is not true in just the knee. Some of you, Shane, you had a lung cancer case, remember? Filled up on you all the time until you got it to stop. You did excellent. And that's what, how well you guys learn, and how when I see you helping others overcoming their incredible problems, I've seen a lot of you help others get rid of their cancers like that. Now, we're not talking about diseases. That we have to use that only as a point of reference, but it's enough to say that that's how good you guys are getting. And so anywhere you have an advanced state of acidosis, you have edema or ascites. And none of that is good. You want to get it out. And the only way to get it out is to get what you're reverbing against, which is acidosis, out. And who controls this whole system? Kidneys and adrenals. Back to that again. Monotonous and boring. Not really, it's just where the problem is all the time. I've never heard of this and hope you can shed some light on it for me. Oh, absolutely. Much love to you. Much love, Terry. Absolutely. But you want to help them. If they're an athlete, you want to help them and get them, because, again, there's another knee, there's two hips and elbows and wrists and everything else. Same system, see? So once the athletes get it, there was one showed me a picture of this guy, and he looked like Mr. Olympia. I mean, this guy is huge. I think he has at least 28-inch arms, at least. Huge. Vegan. I love that. All vegan. That guy is an inspiration for bodybuilders, to say the least. All vegan. He knows about kidneys and didn't want to ruin his kidneys, and this is a big guy. Impressed that you can get that big on greens and green juices. But if you look at primates, especially like you talked about the gorilla up in the mountains where they are on mostly the greens, they're big anyway. But you put them on fruit, thank God it makes for a peaceful existence. Fruits and vegetables make for peaceful existence. When you start getting into proteins, you get more aggressive in the animal kingdom, notice? And it happens in the Homo sapien kingdom too. Your vegetarians are much more peaceful, spiritual people than your meat eaters. It's a proven fact. Meat always makes you feel aggressive. It's just vibrations, frequencies, and stuff like that. All right, I can't pronounce your name. I really apologize. Renjiro. I feel like I constantly have air bubbles stuck in my stomach. That interfering with proper digestion. That's not being relieved by simethicone or drinking 7-Up or Sprite. Oh, wow. So you feel like you need to belch and you can't, huh? Any suggestions to release it? It's very annoying and uncomfortable. And you might have a lot of sulfur in your gut too. Take a look at your eyes and see if you have orange and all that. The only thing I can tell you is get on that stomach and bowel and GI broom at the very least and start cleaning up your gut. It wouldn't hurt to take a trip through the liver, clean that up. And that's a trip through a couple of formulas for the liver. That's all I mean about that. But go after those kidneys and adrenals again. Go after your lymph system. But clean up the GI tract a little bit. And you'll find that'll relieve itself. I would also, in doing that, you're going to go to a fruit, berry, and melon diet, maybe with some green drinks if you want them. But chew real good on this one. Chew real good, real slow. Go slow when you eat. And let these fruits start cleaning and opening up closed houses here. And let's take a look and see what else is going. Hard to see if you have a prolapsed stomach or anything like that can be throwing in anything in that way. The eyes would show a lot about that. It's hard to see a prolapsed stomach in the eye, though, or a folded or anything like that. I've been talking for a year, it seems like. I can imagine it's annoying and uncomfortable. But the only way to get rid of some of these symptoms, if you can't go spot on, that's it, is to always detox. It always cleans them up no matter what. So that's out the road I'd be going, cleaning up the gut, getting all the mucoid plaque out of it, remember these things. What if you have this in your bowel? You think you'd feel a little heavy? And how do you know your bowels are not full of mucoid plaque? See, and that's what I'm saying. You get in there and you start cleaning yourself out. This person didn't realize they had this stuff in them. They didn't realize that. So that's what I'm saying. A good clean job takes care of everything. So that's what I would do. I'm going to have to get going. I got a client coming in here. Wait a minute, part 2 from earlier today, yesterday, and today. Standing up after I have been laying down, I felt like I was going to black out. Adrenals probably. Again, or could be coming from the back of the head. Who is this? Oh, this is Mark. I did not. However, I lost all mobility and command of my muscles. Yesterday, I fell to the floor, and today I landed on a chair. I recovered immediately, just twice in 2 days. This has never happened before. I am 54. What the hell are you talking about, Mark? Part 2? I don't even know where part 1 is. I don't know what's this connected to, Mark, or whatever. I don't even what you're talking about here. Yesterday, today, standing up after I had been laying down. Well, you know, there's a lot of positional things, and you can look at how your blood pressure when you stand up can go way down as opposed to sitting up. That'd be your adrenal glands. You might want to consider you're having problems back here at the back of the head. Do you feel this back here in any way? Lightheaded, dizziness, vertigo? Because these are some of the places you're going to be having some problems. I don't like a dang thing you said here. So you want to get in and start working on this upper circuit, brain and nerve, and things like this. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Wait a minute, guys. Here's another part of his letter. Let's see what it says here. Just saw a surgeon who wants to remove gallbladder. Have almond-sized mass. An almond-sized mass is all? I hardly call that a mass. And elevated liver enzymes over the last 8 months. All right, so his AST and ALT, those are your liver enzymes, are 96 and 93. Well, in normal ranges, you want to be below 30. But to tell you the truth, when your liver's healthy, your liver enzymes, ALT and AST, will be somewhere between 15 and 18, somewhere in that rate. So he's way up there. You know, he's almost 100. So that's a lot of inflammation. So this guy's got some serious hepatitis type stuff, inflammatory stuff, which again comes from the lymph system. And that also suggests that his bowel wall's not too good either. Will not do biopsy to confirm cancer, just wants to remove. Well, you know, smart. Who cares? Just got to go. But it's small enough to, you want to go through all that trouble. I mean, you can. But you want to fix your liver and everything else afterwards. But I would get that little tumor out the right way through the lymph system. It's only the size of an almond. That's not a very big tumor. So if you get out there, it's more than a tumor. You got to realize that the whole liver's inflamed and the whole gallbladder's inflamed. You're just seeing a lymph expression right there. Removing it will not fix this. You know that. Just know that. It won't fix a thing here because your liver's in trouble. And it's not just gallbladder. By the time your gallbladder's in trouble, so is your liver. So you got to fix them both. And then the pancreas is over across the street. You know, all these sort of things. So I like what you think about the biopsy, but I'd get this thing out of there the right way because you got to fix your lymph no matter what. Because you got to fix your liver if you have your gallbladder removed, and then you're going to always have trouble with lipids. And you can fix this. That's not a very big tumor. Wow, I am in week 10 of your protocol and 123 days on fruit. Well, if you're on that, then I wouldn't mess with that. I'd drop myself a 30-day grape fast, maybe add grapes and lemons with a pinch of cayenne pepper and head off that way. And you'll get this out of there. At the same time, you're going to hit GI broom twice a day. Go after the GI tract. Go after the kidneys. Go make sure you're filtering. All these sort of things. Use the liver gallbladder formula and go after that. I'd do that before I'd have my gallbladder removed and get this right. And he's on 123 days on fruit. Well, you should be pulling that out. Now, let me see. On day 12 of eating, not juicing grapes, and plan on doing 30, you're right on here. I am worried about the GB mass because I have many of the same issues as when I began the protocol. It's okay. Just realizing excuse me, it takes a while to get to these places, but you're knocking it, you're knocking it right. Go after those kidneys and adrenals, though. I do not want to remove gallbladder. Good. Will you please offer suggestion? Big time. Yeah, and you want to be careful with the lymphatic formulas are the strongest ones. All right, and they hit the liver the hardest, particularly our number 5s, because you've got poke root and blood root. And they can be hard on the liver if you take too much of them, no question about it. So I wouldn't recommend those right off. Lymphatic 1, lymph node 3, maybe somewhere in that. You're already on them anyway. Definitely want to be on 2 kidney formulas. I would be on the adrenal herbs with licorice, maybe. It depends what your blood pressure is. I'd be on the liver gallbladder formula. I'd take that GI broom and start cleaning my bowels aggressively. Now, this is part 2. Where he, yesterday and today standing up, or what's happening, your blood pressure or blood sugar is taking a dump on you. So here's what you got to do. You want to eat small meals more often. You want a small amount, have a little bowl of fruit every hour or hour and a half. Chew, eat them, chew good, swallow well. I would go out and get me some licorice root, because unless you're going to check your blood pressure for me, I don't know what it is, but when you're in this kind of trouble, your adrenals are always involved. When you go on this level of fruit, you're not on stimulants, even though it's the highest energy food on the planet, it's not a stimulant. So your adrenals go bam down to your genetic pass, and you could be dipping in some real low blood pressure or real low blood sugar. To fix the blood sugar, you have to have smaller meals more often, and you want it to be fructose. Right? Now, that's the adrenal glands, but they're on top of your kidneys. To have a tumor anywhere in your body, no matter where it is, you have to have kidney filtration problems. So you're back to your problem is really in the kidney and adrenals. Your gallbladder and liver is a symptom. So you got to address the cause of your problem to remedy the symptom. You can't address just the liver and gallbladder, as you know, or you wouldn't have a remedy. There's no remedy to that. But if you go to the cause of the problem, there's where you get your remedy. So I'd be hitting that quite a bit and going after this. The diet, you're kicking ass on the diet. And that's how you do this. That's how you do it. But you got a little ways to work. You got a GI tract. This is a branch off of that. So you got to clean up the bowels, clean up the liver and all this. So I get where you're coming from. He's only 54 years old. So you'll be okay. You'll be successful with this. And call in if you need anything. Call in to Elizabeth or Valerie or someone, and just touch base with them and let us know how you're doing. But I can tell you to have your liver enzymes this high, a lot of inflammation. But you got to fix them one way or another. And if you have the gallbladder removed, you still have to fix the liver. And it's a small mass. I mean, the size of an almond is not that big. So I would get that out of there and then keep going the way you're going. But I have a feeling you're experiencing what your trouble is. You're either dumping in your blood pressure or blood sugar there, and you don't want that, or you'll be passing out all over the place. Another thing, if you feel a little lightheaded and woozy, cold packs to the back of the head till you get past this. You might want to go upper circuit brain and nerve, my friend, just to get that, and maybe do some adrenal tonics just to keep those adrenals hitting them, and keeping them alive and that sort of thing. I've got to run. Daggone it. Let me see here. I'm beginning to feel anxiety in my body, but I'm not creating anxious thoughts. How does this happen? That's your adrenal glands. That's your emotions. That's you don't have to have nervous thoughts, but that's your nervous system. Also, what can I expect to experience as I begin to heal my zigzag colorette? Well, everywhere you're weak, you can feel a symptom in that area, from lightly pain to pinprick pain, mucus discharge, cold and flu-like symptoms, fevers, excessive sweatings, all the things that you would expect to experience when you're kicking out sewage. And then who else knows? I don't know what kind of, you look at your eyes. If you have chemicals in there, you could see some discharge of chemicals. When you start detoxing, you're going to be really aware of where your problems are, and particularly kidneys and adrenals. And this guy brings up a good thing here about lightheadedness and passing out. We are a victim of being on all these stimulants for all these years, from the neurotransmitters and the meat itself, to the coffees, to all these stimulants. So here we have someone like the Gerson Clinic that says, let's do more acid coffees. You know, it's just not how you get well. And you want dynamic wellness. You want cells that are sticking up with their chests out going, I'm one kick butt cell. And that's because I'm being fed properly and I'm eliminating my waste properly. Thank you. I not only have a good meal, I have a great BM. I love you guys. I got to go. Got someone in here to see, so unfortunately when they're in to see me, they're not doing real well. But I love you guys. You're doing so well. Don't anybody intimidate you. And let's don't intimidate each other. We're all here working together. There's plenty of sick people in the world. Plenty, plenty, plenty. So one doesn't have to be above another no matter what. We're all here as friends and working together. We need each other. And I brought some of you here. Remember. Start to remember.